Boom to the hay, all you sports fans out there in the two-ball sphere, to you, the individuals, part of this collective. Welcome to the OMSR with your brief but very concise host, Will the Alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Doing the mid-major reviews this week, a little specialty I do, so that you'll have a better idea when you're filling out your brackets. Alright, start from Dwayne Darn That Ultimate Sports Fans. You see some snapshots of the clips coming up. And a few of the Pi Kappa Alpha, how sweethearts your review chapter Alpha Tau giving you props. Yes, that has been a part of the OMSR format from day one. And given what's happened recently, I know for a fact, subs will tell you this as well, the OMSR has represented the Greek system with class and dignity. And now fraternities are starting to get a bad name again. And perhaps rightfully so with regard to SAE. But not all SAE chapters are necessarily promoting this sort of thing, even though it's embedded in a whole, in the organization on a whole, given its roots, right? So I would just say, you know, fraternity is not just a party scene, it's not just to hold on to outdated traditions. Is to prepare young men for success and leadership roles and all these good mantras in life. You look at the PKA Creed, the Troop Hike, all sorts of good mantras to live by. And for my part, you know, I wasn't even really there that much, being a non-traditional student as a 24-year-old freshman. And there's just no ethnicism really running rampant where I'm from, at the U of U. And there was never an incident in my 5 years at the University of Utah from any fraternity, from any get-together. Yes, it's Salt Lake City, Utah, but it's not a bunch of milk and cookie parties either, you understand. Never an incident. It just depends on what part of the country you're in. So it's not just a fraternity thing, it's an institutional-wide thing. You know, it's definitely got to be, you know, resolved. No place for it in our society. As you can see, through my house sweethearts that I chose for this particular episode, beauty of women, regardless of ethnicity. Indeed, because of all the different ethnicities. Now the same could be said equally true of men. Without the beauty part, you understand. Alright, so, talking about this particular game, Battle of the Dakotas. Now North Dakota State's been owning it in FCS football for quite a while. But no matter which one of these schools gets to the big dance, they can't finish the deal. But this was a good game the way it ended up. They did upset Oklahoma, true. But they've never gone further than that point. And then we got some bracketology, update-ology with Joe Lunardi, see who's still on the bubble and what transpired tonight, or last night, that being Wednesday. Okay, thanks for watching those silly DUIs while you're out there. Reminding you, sports and alcohol, they are joined at the hip. Space yourself.
We welcome the audience who just watched the Northeast Conference title game. We're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the Summit League Championship. The North Dakota State Bison and the South Dakota State Jackrabbits alongside former Illinois guard Sean Harrington on Clay Matford. These two teams tied for the regular season crown. They split during the regular year. This one moves on to the big dance, and right now North Dakota State has the lead, but the Jackrabbits have picked up their play.
And both of these teams pride themselves on defense, but they are off and running on the offensive end, shooting high percentages on both ends of the floor.
Here comes South Dakota State in the white uniforms. They are a deep team. They go 10 or 11 deep. That shot is off the mark for DeAndre Parks, the two-time JUCO All-American. Now here come the Bison to set up in the half court. A.J. Jacobson, redshirt freshman. And now Lawrence Alexander, the Conference Player of the Year in the Summit. Jacobson in the paint, the right hand off the wing.
Neither one of them lost at home, and that's what you have to do if you want to be conference champs.
North Dakota State, located in Fargo, North Dakota, they are known for their great football program. But last year they won this tournament and went on to the NCAA tournament and upset Oklahoma in the first round.
Yeah, keep an eye on both of these teams. Whoever comes out of here is battle-tested. Playing against each other, both of them top of the league. And they could get that first-round upset again with the right matchups.
And there's Scott Nagy, now in his 20th year as head coach of the Jackrabbits, located just up the road about an hour from Sioux Falls in Brookings, North Dakota State. Upset Oklahoma in a round of 64 last year in overtime, 80-75 there. We celebrate. They graduated 6 seniors on that tournament team, including last year's Player of the Year, Taylor Braun, and a new coach after Saul Phillips took the job at Ohio. But Dave Richmond has whipped this group into shape, and now North Dakota State competing against South Dakota State for the right to go dancing again. And you can see that it's come down to one of these two the last several years.
Yeah, very consistent from these two programs. That's what you like to see.
The Denny Sanford Premier Center, brand new 12,000-seat arena here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's the home of the Summit League Championship game. North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Tied at 23 here as we get ready for the second half. He's Sean Harrington. I'm Clay Matvick. That was a season low for first half points for South Dakota State. North Dakota State wanted this to be a defensive struggle here tonight. Right now, this game is playing into their hands.
Absolutely. They want to make it a lower possession game. They're very efficient on the offensive end, but they want to make South Dakota State work for everything they get on the offensive end. They did that in the first half.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half. And North Dakota State matching South Dakota State's intensity in this one, for sure.
Yeah, they came out of the gate shooting the ball extremely well. It was A.J. Jacobson off to a hot start quick. 7 points out of him. And then the Player of the Year, Lawrence Alexander. Doesn't need much space to knock down threes and get to the basket. And the big guy on the other side, Cody Larson, the no-look behind the back pass. And then he finished a no-look behind the back pass. He had 2 fouls in that first half. Look for him to be a factor in the second half.
Well, the first half stats, Alexander with 8, Jacobson with 8, Larson 6. As you mentioned, has 2 fouls, spent a large portion of the later minutes.
All that take care of your soul.
And the Summit League Awards, these two teams cleaned house. Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, 6th Man, Defensive Player, and Coach of the Year. The North Dakota State Bison, 4 straight FCS titles in college football. Chris Kleiman picked right up where Craig Bull left off, the head coach, leading them to another title this past fall. And Parks and Marshall have started to heat up for South Dakota State. You were telling me at halftime they needed to get going, and they have.
Well, those two guys were 1 of 11 combined in the first half, and that's not like them. 2 impact transfers have played great this year. They're 3 of 6 here in the second half.
Lawrence Alexander with 15 second half points. He's 6 of 8 from 3 tonight.
This is the Player of the Year performance right now. He is feeling it and putting this team on his back, opening up the biggest lead of the game. And right now you have to get a hand in his face, no matter where he is on the floor. Coming off of those dribble handoffs, can't give him any separation. When he starts to feel it like this, you have to make him uncomfortable and get up into him.
Again, the call on the floor was last touch by North Dakota State, South Dakota State ball. If they overturn this, it'll be North Dakota State ball with 8.7 seconds left.
Comes off of Marshall's fingertips. Does anybody else touch it at that point? Does it touch?
They're going to say it's North Dakota State ball. So they overturned the ruling on the floor. Again, the Jackrabbits catch a break. Parks no, and North Dakota State is going back to the dance.
We now head into the bracketology bunker. It is the week leading up to Selection Sunday, so Joe Lunardi right now is racking up those Starbucks stars. Welcome, Joe. As we get close to Sunday, right now, give us a snapshot of the one line.
That's the easy part of the bracket right now, Nish. We've got, of course, Kentucky. I think it's safe to say that they'll make the tournament, along with Virginia, Duke, and Villanova. But it's important to point out that two other teams, Wisconsin and Arizona, both have the profile and resume and on-court team of a number one seed, but unfortunately, there's only 4 spots for number one seeds, and really only 3 available this year because Kentucky's had theirs punched for several weeks now.
Joe, with its win tonight, where does Texas stand?
I think it'll be status quo for the Longhorns. They're going to stay right in that last 4-in group, and we'll see what they do in the rest of the Big 12 tournament. And it's not just about Texas. It's about all the other teams on those bubble lists and what they're doing in their respective conference tournaments. Remember, it's only Wednesday.
Joe, how safe is BYU?
I think BYU is very safe at this point, as safe as you can be with 5 losses in the West Coast Conference. Both numerically and from an eye test standpoint, I think we saw in these last 2 games against Gonzaga just how good this team can be. And in a year in which offense has been, well, offensive, it's nice to find a team that scores. There were stretches of that West Coast Conference final against Gonzaga where both teams were just going up and down the court, taking great shots, ball movement, spacing, and I think that's the way basketball's supposed to be.
And the hair was real, right?
The hair was always real, my friend.